Gregg Popovich continues to recover while Spurs prepare for NBA Paris Games 2025. The Spurs coach has not been on the sidelines since suffering a stroke on November 2nd before the team's game that evening.
Hey, basketball fans.
Today, we're diving into a story that's not just about the game of basketball, but about resilience, leadership, and hope. It's been a tough time for San Antonio Spurs head coach Gregg Popovich, who's currently recovering after suffering a stroke back in November. As the Spurs get ready for the NBA Paris Games this week, we reflect on Popovich's impact, his recovery, and what the future holds for one of the NBA's greatest coaches. For nearly 3 decades, Gregg Popovich has been a constant in the NBA. Whether it's leading the Spurs to 5 championships, guiding Team USA to a gold medal at the Tokyo Olympics, or simply being known as one of the best coaches the game has ever seen, Popovich has left a lasting legacy. But on November 2nd, everything changed when Popovich suffered a stroke before a Spurs game. Since that day, Popovich has been recovering back home, and although the Spurs say he's making progress, details on his condition remain scarce. Out of respect for Popovich and his privacy, the team isn't sharing too much. But what we do know is that he's fighting every day. Acting Spurs head coach Mitch Johnson, who took over suddenly after Popovich's stroke, shared that Pop is still as competitive as ever, watching games, offering his thoughts, and, in true Popovich fashion, keeping things interesting with a mix of praise and critique. Johnson, who's worked closely with Popovich for years, took over with almost no notice that night against Minnesota. And even though the Spurs have had some ups and downs since, including a recent 6-game losing streak, they've also had moments of brilliance, winning stretches of games and proving they're capable of bouncing back. But no matter what, the heart of this team, its identity, is still shaped by Popovich. And it's not just the players who are feeling the impact of Popovich's absence. Chris Paul, who joined the Spurs last summer, has often spoken about his deep respect for Pop. In fact, Paul said that Popovich frequently calls him after games, offering advice and observations. For Paul, those conversations have become even more meaningful than he ever expected, and it speaks volumes about the kind of leader Pop is, even when he's not physically on the court. It's clear that the Spurs are doing everything they can to support their coach, both on and off the court. The team is making sure that Popovich's health is the priority, and they're all rallying around the belief that he'll be back, whenever that may be. But for now, they're adjusting to a new normal without their legendary leader at the helm. This week, the Spurs are in Paris for the NBA Paris Games 2025, facing off against the Indiana Pacers. It's a city Popovich absolutely loves, a place where he enjoys the culture, the food, the basketball, and, of course, the wine. This week, though, Pop is back home, and while it's painful for him to miss this trip, the Spurs are doing their best to represent him on this global stage. As Popovich continues his rehab, it's clear that he's attacking it with the same resilience he's shown throughout his career. Spurs CEO R.C. Buford, who's worked alongside Popovich for years, mentioned how Popovich's approach to recovery is as unique as his coaching style. And with support from former players and the extended Spurs family, Popovich's improvement continues, and everyone is hopeful for his eventual return. Now, the question remains, will Popovich return to coach this season, next season, or at all? While there's no clear answer yet, what's certain is that the Spurs are handling this with patience and care. And when Popovich does eventually return, it'll be a moment that fans, players, and the entire NBA will celebrate. So, whether it's on the sidelines or in some other capacity, Gregg Popovich's legacy is undeniable. His leadership and influence continue to shape the Spurs, and his health remains the top priority. As we watch the Spurs in Paris this week, we send our thoughts and well wishes to Pop and his recovery. And don't forget, the Spurs will be facing off against the Pacers in Paris on Thursday and Saturday, and we'll be here to bring you all the action. But for now, let's continue to keep Pop in our thoughts and look forward to his eventual return. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. If you enjoyed this video, hit that like button, and don't forget to subscribe for more NBA updates. Let us know your thoughts on Popovich and his recovery in the comments below. See you next time.